That is not the behavior of a reliable partner. But for me, a really terrible thing that's happening right now is a lot of people, a lot of Canadians are now coming to the conclusion that Beijing can be trusted more than Washington. I think that's really sad, and I don't think that's in America's national interest.
Wow. Was that Chrystia Freeland talking? Seemed to be. The former finance minister, former deputy prime minister, former transport minister, very good friend of Mark Carney. You're watching Stand on Guard. I'm your host, David Crayden. Thank you for joining me on this Thursday morning. We're broadcasting to you live from the Ottawa area, and we will be right back in mere moments with more.
The Prime Minister lied, and his minions continue to lie.
Your home is your castle. We're calling on the government to introduce and immediately pass the Stand on Guard law.
But we also need to resolve to resist.
Okay. We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
We're doing it live as we do every day. The channel, of course, is Crayden's Right. The show is Stand on Guard. It's a pleasure to be broadcasting to you today. As I said, here we are in Ottawa. The doldrums, the winter doldrums, February almost over. I was talking to my good friend Jeff Wilson this morning, veterinarian, very wise veterinarian, and of course, professor, University of Guelph. And he said, don't worry, David, within a month, we'll be seeing spring. And actually, it's 3 weeks ago, 3 weeks to go until today, from today. Oh, thank God. March 20th, or is it? It used to always be the 21st. Spring solstice, summer solstice was the 21st. Now it's sometimes the 20th, sometimes the 21st. But anyway, spring is around the corner. 3 weeks from today. Can't wait for 3 weeks from today for a lot of reasons. But spring is certainly one of them. So we're gonna do a deep dive, and I hate that expression, into why Mark Carney is spending more of your money on Ukraine, spending more of your money to prop up this regime. I'm sorry, we got it. And that was, of course, my phone ringing in the middle of the broadcast. I will get a hold of his Mark Petron, probably asking me to come on the show today. So we'll get back to Mark. The same thing happened yesterday. No, I'm not setting this up because I'm a half hour later than usual today. But we're going to be doing a deep dive into why Brookfield does not want Russia to take any piece of Ukraine because they've got nuclear reactors there. Why is Brookfield forcing Ukraine to buy its nuclear energy? Why can't it buy oil from Alberta? Because we're all pawns in the game. So we're going to get into that. And, of course, an update from Katie Pisitne at Universal Ostrich Farms. What's happening with the potential lawsuit there? Lots is happening. A lot is happening. And so we'll be back with that later. But let's have a look at what's happening with this incredible story here. Let's have a look.
The issues that President Trump was elected on is a promise to fix the problems that happened in America after China joined the WTO. He was the first really leading politician who recognized that really did hurt the heartland. It really did hurt American manufacturing workers. He started to fix that. And that is a truth universally acknowledged, right? I think across the political spectrum, people think that. what is unfortunate is all of this uncertainty, particularly from America's friends when it comes to our relationship with America. The big winner is China.
Well, let's talk about China, because it strikes me that one of the things that your Prime Minister, Mark Carney, has done is traveled to China and negotiated some adjusted trade deals there. Is China the big winner here? By the way, China was not mentioned last night at the State of the Union, and it's been a long time since the U.S. president has not mentioned China in that speech.
Yeah, I think China was the big winner. And what is really ironic, and I personally would say is sad, is China today, when it talks to countries like Canada, is casting itself as the reliable partner. As a country that particularly middle powers like Canada can trust, can lean on, that if you do a deal with China, it's a deal that has meaning. And China is also casting itself as the defender of this international order based on rules that the US created. Now, my own view is we need to be a little bit skeptical of commitments from China to do that. I was foreign minister when, in retaliation for Canada's decision to honor an extradition treaty with the United States, 2 Canadians were illegally seized, arrested by China, effectively held hostage. International experts concluded that their treatment amounted to torture. That is not the behavior of a reliable partner. But for me, a really terrible thing that's happening right now is a lot of people, a lot of Canadians are now coming to the conclusion that Beijing can be trusted more than Washington. I think that's really sad, and I don't think that's in America's national interest.
Okay, holy jumping. I can't believe I just heard this. But this, of course, is Chrystia Freeland, former Deputy Prime Minister, former Finance Minister, saying the big winner in all of this is China. She's directly challenging Mark Carney, who I think is the godfather of her children, in addition to, of course, being her former leader. But now that Chrystia Freeland's working for Ukraine, she can say what she wants. Some people are pointing out the fact that she doesn't even sound like the Chrystia Freeland you probably don't too fondly remember from the House of Commons. She's not lecturing or hectoring or talking like a very obnoxious school marm telling you this is how it is and you had better accept the way I say it or you're not as smart as I am. She sounds like a human being. She looks a lot healthier. She looks a lot better. This is what happens when you remove yourself from the Carney government or the Trudeau government, or I think any government at all. It's very toxic. It's very pernicious. But this is fascinating. And she's saying, you can't trust China. And this is the basis of all of Mark Carney's policies, foreign policies. And don't put China before the United States. This is a direct contravention of everything Mark Carney's pushing for. You think there's something a little suspicious about this? Yeah, I do. I think it's very odd. And want to have a look at some more of those. Yeah, I want to have a look at some more of these here before
the issues that President Trump was elected on.
Yeah, this is incredible to me. I'm going to mention this now because do you believe this? I reposted this morning because I'm absolutely dumbfounded. Canada just imported liquid natural gas from Australia, 25,000 kilometers across the ocean. It's literally half a world away. I don't know if you've ever traveled to Australia. I have, but you're on the plane for like 12 hours. You have to go straight across the Pacific Ocean, largest body of water on the earth. And we can't get energy from Alberta, but 4,000 kilometers from Alberta is somehow impossible. This isn't a resource problem, it's a Canada problem. If Canada won't develop Alberta's energy, why should Alberta stay in Canada? This is a legitimate question. Look at this map. So, okay, it's okay to go all across Pacific Ocean, way around South America, all the way up to Atlantic Canada. but we can't build a pipeline that's what? 21,000 kilometers shorter to Alberta. Now, if you're Albertan, and if you're looking at this map right now and you're scratching your head and saying, what the hell is going on with this country? I would have to agree. What the hell is going on with this country? Obviously, the federal government isn't serious about keeping Alberta in Canada even. Never mind keeping Alberta happy to some degree. Alberta will never be happy as long as there's no pipeline, as long as it can't sell its energy to the rest of Canada, as long as equalization payments continue to take huge chunks out of the province's hide. Alberta will never be happy, and they shouldn't be. I love this. British comedy elder John Cleese has announced that he will be steering clear of British Columbia on an upcoming Canadian tour, owing to fears that he will be prosecuted for non-adherence to gender ideology, writes the National Post's Tristan Hopper, who's been on my show. You probably knew that. And I respond to this. I grew up in BC, okay? I did. The province has become a woke state of despair, where your property rights can be stolen by any First Nations chief who demands your backyard, and you don't possess the free speech to criticize any of it. Deny gender ideology, and a kangaroo court will try to steal your life savings. I'm going to mention this again. Some people are criticizing me for bringing this up, but we need a response from Pierre Poilievre, because otherwise the Conservative Party of Canada is looking a lot like the Liberal Party of Canada. And in fact, worse. And Kirk Lubimov posts on X here, Canada's politics got to the bizarre point where the Liberals are bringing mass immigration below the levels the Conservative Party of Canada supported. And now Conservative MPs are in Punjab on an apology tour to foreigners because making immigration laws stricter doesn't allow as many of them to scam their way into Canada. All of these temporary foreign workers and students must get deported ASAP, even though the CPC campaigned against it and must never be brought to Canada. They must never be brought to Canada again. Until the CPC will purge all these people out of its party and stop pandering to foreigners and have a leader that can call them out and put Canada first, they have no chance of forming a government again. I'm not going to necessarily agree with Kirk on that one. However, folk, we need answers. Because right now, the Conservative Party of Canada seems to have a weaker immigration policy than the Liberals do. We need answers. Why are they pandering to Khalistanis? Why are Conservative MPs in the Punjab region pandering to Khalistanis and promising, apparently, to make our immigration laws not so strict? It's enough to make you puke. It's enough to make you puke. And meanwhile, we've got the Conservatives up in the House this week complaining about weak immigration laws and complaining about bogus refugees getting health care benefits the tax-paying citizens of Canada can't get access to. Whoops. Yeah. Michelle Rempel Garner has been up in the House making the point for this. Why is she apparently getting stabbed in the back for doing that? I'm disgusted. I really, really am disgusted over this.